Good afternoon. On this rainy election day, I'm Emily Edelman.
And I'm Matt Cooper, and this is Democracy in Action Election Update.
Democracy in Action is an election day project of the journalism students at the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications.
Since early this morning, students have been canvassing polling places all over Onondaga County to tell the election day stories of the people who live here.
Some races to watch for as people head to the polls. Incumbent Kirsten Gillibrand runs for re-election against Republican Shel Farley.
New York 24 is a fight for the House between incumbent Republican John Katko and first-time candidate Dana Balter.
And Republican Marc Molinaro is challenging incumbent Governor Andrew Cuomo for New York State Governor. Republican John Katko has been the incumbent representative of New York 24 since 2014, and if voted into office, this will be his third term. Often referring to himself as an independent moderate, Katko believes he has what it takes to make Central New York a strong and independent leader in Washington.
During this year's re-election, Katko is advocating to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. He is also offering income tax cuts to individuals and corporations in efforts to boost Central New York's economy. Katko's challenger and the Democrat nominee for New York's 24th district is Dana Balter. Balter says she is running because the nation was fighting for its very soul.
The main issues that Balter stands on are health care being a human right, campaign finance reform, as well as common sense gun safety measures. We bring you live updates from our local polling stations. Our own Natalie Mayer is in Cicero to tell us about the scene this election day. Natalie?
That's right. I'm here outside of the Believers Chapel in Cicero, one of many polling locations across Onondaga County. Now, despite it being the middle of the day, there are lots of cars coming in and out of the parking lot all afternoon. We're seeing lots of people going in and out of the chapel to cast their vote in this key midterm election. As you can see, the parking lot is pretty packed. This morning it was raining, but I think some of that cloud coverage moving away might be a factor in getting some of these voters out to the polls. The nicer weather is certainly a factor, and we're seeing a lot of energy here, people going in and out, like I said, in this key election. So we'll see if that energy continues into the afternoon once people get out of work around 5 or 6 o'clock. And we will be keeping you updated all day long with updates on Democracy in Action. We'll have a 4 o'clock update, a 6 o'clock update, and into the evening. So definitely stay tuned in this key midterm election. From the Believers Chapel in Cicero, New York, I'm Natalie Mayer for Democracy in Action. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Natalie. There's been lots of emphasis on the young vote for the election cycle. Contributor Luke McGrath has a story on the teaching of the youngest generation about the importance of democracy. Outside of the rainy Pompey Town Hall here in Manlius, the voters have been coming in at a pretty good rate throughout the morning, and that's including Mary Burke, a mother of 5 who is sure to bring her children along to show them the importance of voting.
Well, it's our duty, it's our responsibility as citizens to vote and have our voices be heard so that when these decisions are made in government, that we have the people that we want and that we feel are responsible to make these choices, right? Yeah.
Over the years, the Burke kids appear to have learned a lot. Ranging from 5 to 12, Mackenzie, Declan, Aiden, Connor, and Michaela showed quite a bit of interest at the polls, and for Michaela, the oldest of the bunch, the importance of voting is starting to hit home.
I think it's important because then we know, like she said, like people's voices can be heard, and we can pick the right people to do the jobs.
Mary herself was always at the polls as a kid and says it played a big role in realizing how important it is to complete her civic duty.
I remember selling chocolate bars for, I think it was youth soccer, outside the polling places while my parents went in to vote. I was one of 9 kids, so they didn't take all 9 of us in because that would have been crazy. But I remember just the sense of community and seeing everybody from the town there and knowing that everybody was kind of doing their part.
And for those at the polls who saw the small army that is the Burke family, they were quite impressed by the lesson their mother was teaching them.
I was so pleased to see that mom and her children. What an opportunity for them to not only do a visual and see how the voting is set up and see how we actually provide our own personal chance to decide on who we want running our governments in different ways.
And for all those involved today at the Pompey Town Hall, one thing was clear between the young, slightly less young, and young again.
Go vote!
Do it. Vote.
Go vote.
Reporting in Manlius, Luke McGrath, NCC News.
Thanks, Luke. Now we take a look at a White House reaction to a local election. Donald Trump tweeted recently endorsing Republican Claudia Tenney, who's running for Congress in New York 22, and saying, "I need at Claudia Tenney of New York 22 to be re-elected in order to get our big plans moving. Her opponent would be a disaster. Nobody works harder than Claudia, and she is a producer. I look forward to working together with her. She has my strongest endorsement. Vote Claudia." Cannot wait for the elections to be over.
And Matt, we were talking about everybody on social media has been involved in this election so far, but a few people with the local elections are getting a little bit sick and tired of seeing John Kakko and Dana Balter commercials. Like Chell said right here, cannot wait for elections to be over so these John Kakko and Dana Balter commercials can stop. But on the other side, we do have Kevin Baldwin talking about Donald Trump needs our help, vote Claudia Tenney, vote John Kakko. And then on the other side of the election, Kay Grape said he waited in line for 40 minutes to vote today, the longest I've ever waited, hoping this means good things for Dana Balter. And finally, Dana Balter herself said, "I just voted with my family, cheering me on. Thank you to our amazing staff and hundreds of volunteers out there across the 24th district." So as you can see, social media, everybody has been taking part into this big midterm election. Back to you, Matt.
And remember, you can tweet us at Democracy Action, and please use the hashtag NHDIA. Now let's take a look at the voter participation here in the 24th district. Over 367,000 people are registered to vote in Central New York, and of that number, roughly 70% are active voters. Since 2013, upwards of 274,000 Central New York residents have been voting, but there's another trend that has been revealed about voters on a more national scale. According to a 2015 census, millennials outnumber baby boomers, so candidates have been increasingly focused on the younger voter. But the same census also shows that millennials are not turning out for midterm elections like they do for presidential ones. In 2010 and 2014, around 25% of millennials did not make their ways to the poll. In 2012 and 2016, that number was as low as 10%. So why does all of this matter right now? It is projected that the incumbent John Kakko will win by about 12 points. But if millennials make their way to the poll today, this election can be a lot closer than it appears. Thanks for watching this Democracy in Action update from the NCC Newsroom at Syracuse University.
Our next update will be at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, continue to explore our site to see, hear, and read stories about the voters of Onondaga County.